When we left our heroes last time, their boat was headed straight for the Statue of Liberty, and unknown to them, that boat was full of high explosive.
Captain!
Whoever you are!
Full steam astern, aft and below, and all that stuff!
And while you're about it, stop the boat, too!
No use shouting anymore, Bullwinkle. We don't even know where he is.
But let's look on the bright side, Rock.
What's that?
We know where he isn't.
Come on, we only got a few seconds.
And as the boat drew nearer and nearer the Statue of Liberty, our heroes looked all over the main deck and the bridge.
He's not here, Rock!
You don't suppose he's below, do you?
Below what?
Follow me.
And Rocky and Bullwinkle dashed down to the engine room just in time to hear...
Sailing over the Marjorie Main.
Bullwinkle, do you hear what I hear?
Of course, we're on the same channel, Rock.
That sounds like Captain Peter Wrong-Way Peach Fuzz.
And what's more, it is.
Bless my stars and garters, it's Rocky Squirrel. How
There's
did
no
you...
time to talk now, Captain. Shove those controls to full speed ahead.
You out of your mind, Rocky? We'll bash into the Statue of Liberty for sure and all.
Yes, the Athabasco was right on the verge of disaster as Captain Peachfuzz grabbed for the engine controls, and then... With a fearsome sound, the ship reversed direction and began to travel backwards.
But you said full speed ahead, Rocky.
Sure, I know we do just the opposite.
Well, Rocky, what are you doing up here on the bridge?
The bridge? This here room is below the waterline.
A sunken bridge. These new vessels are pretty modern.
Captain, you haven't changed an iota.
Yeah, and you're supposed to change him every 1,000 miles.
Well, it wasn't long before Rocky and Bullwinkle had Captain Peachfuzz straightened out and in the right place.
Well, you're the boss, Rocky. Where to?
Well, any place we can fish for Maybe Dick.
Maybe Dick.
You know about him, I take it.
Yes, and I have only one thing to say to you boys.
What's that?
Abandon ship!
Grab him, Bullwinkle!
Got him!
Now, don't be silly, Rocky. Nobody goes fishing for the Wailing Whale. Let's go back.
All right, Captain. You can set our course for home.
Rocky, we gonna give up already?
Shh. Remember what happened earlier in the episode?
You're not gonna repeat the same joke.
They liked it once, they'll love it twice.
Yo-ho, lads! We're homeward bound.
And giving the wheel a hearty spin, the addle-brained skipper headed directly out to sea.
Well, we might as well get started, Bullwinkle. Break out the fishing tackle.
In a few minutes, Bullwinkle had assembled their special whale gear. A telephone pole and 2 miles of cable with an anchor for a hook.
What's a rowboat for, Bullwinkle?
Well, maybe Dick likes to swallow ships, you know.
So?
This is bait.
And the good ship Athabasco plowed ahead as our boys trolled for the wailing whale.
Only one thing bothered me, Rob.
What's that?
If maybe Dick grabs that anchor, do we have him or does he have us?
Never fear, Bullwinkle. Remember, it's for home and mother.
Personally, my mother never cared for fish. She was more of a...
Bullwinkle!
Where? Oh, that's me.
Bullwinkle, I got the strangest feeling that somebody's watching me.
Of course, it's me.
No, somebody else.
In the middle of the ocean, pish tush, Rocky, and may I say, fie. There's nobody here but us and the captain.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But at that moment, a strange single eye was watching Rocky carefully, not from on board, but from the ocean itself. Who is this strange intruder, and what does he want? We'll find out next time in Underwater Eyeball or The Deep Blue Sea.
Once upon a time, there was a little kingdom named the Kingdom of Fig, in which there was a castle, in which there was a throne room, in which there was a king named Newton.
I thought you'd never get here.
This particular day, the king was busy planning 1 week's dinner menu with the castle cook.
How about a nice cirrhosis of beef, your highness?
Had that last Sunday.
I fix a nice suckling of pig with an apple in his mouth.
No, I like suckling pig, but suckling pig doesn't like me.
How about a chili beans and a chocolate malt?
Well, you're getting warmer, but no. How about a roast chicken?
Sorry, we don't got a chicken in the palace.
Roast turkey?
No turkeys in the palace.
Roast goose?
No We only got the one.
Well, let's have it.
But, Your Highness, she's a kind of a palace pet. 1,000,000 laughs.
Stuff and nonsense. If she laid golden eggs or something, it'd be different. But she looks to me just like an eating type goose. Pop her in the oven.
Okay, Highness. I make preparations right away. Hey, Monroe!
Well, of course, the goose was terrified, so she did the only thing she could think of. She ran. But just before she reached the castle gate, she stopped and thought of what lay beyond it.
4,000 hungry peasants. I can't go out there.
But just then, the words of the king came back to her.
If she laid golden eggs, it'd be different. If she laid golden eggs.
Golden eggs, of course. A moment later, the goose dashed into the kitchen, got a regular egg, and quickly painted it gold. That evening at dinner, when the main course was brought in, the king got quite a surprise.
Aye, Highness. That's a good one, eh?
Good heavens! Cook!
Yes, Your Majesty.
This goose is terribly underdone. Put her back in the oven.
Hold it, sire. Take a look at this.
It looks like a golden egg.
Looks like. Here, take a closer peek at it.
14 carat.
She's done it, Your Highness. You got a goose that lays golden eggs.
Well, upon my word.
Yes, the trick had worked like a charm. News of the king's good fortune spread like wildfire.
Extra! Local goose lays golden egg. King Newton of Fig hits jackpot.
Matter of fact, the news spread a little too far, as it reached the eyes of the king's cousin, Duke Porkington of Hogg.
A thing like this is too big for Newton to handle. It must worry him terribly. I'll just relieve him of the responsibility. To arms!
And the greedy duke marched on his cousin's castle to take the wonderful goose by force. When King Newton heard about it, he spoke those deathless words by which we remember him even today.
Don't give up the goose.
Yay!
But Duke Porkington was determined. Day after day, he blasted at the castle.
You know, Your Grace, you may kill the goose that lays the golden eggs.
If I can't have it, nobody can, see?
But by then, King Newton's castle was shot away.
Why aren't we shooting back?
We are the cannonballs, Majesty. All we can do now is sit and take it.
Golden eggs. I wish I'd never heard of golden eggs.
Me too.
In fact, I'm going to get rid of this one right now.
No, sire, don't throw it! Some joke, eh, Majesty? Even fool you, eh? Funny. Shall I go get in the oven, sire?
But instead of being angry, the king jumped with joy.
You're a fraud! A phony! You can't do it!
Well, I was just...
Well, I can tell Porkington that I don't have anything he wants. He'll go away.
But just then, a very strange thing happened.
Sire, may I have some pickles and ice cream?
Of course, I'll go... Pickles and ice cream?
Or maybe a little sauerkraut topped with strawberries?
Are you feeling all right?
Just a little faint.
What is it?
Nothing. I'm just going to lay an egg, that's all. Ooh.
And she did. But what an egg it was.
It's so shiny. It looks like solid gold.
And it was solid gold.
Well, that drops a clod in the churn. Now I can never call off Porkington.
But, sire, now we don't have to.
What do you mean?
I have a plan.
And a moment later, as Duke Porkington prepared to storm the castle, a shot rang out and a strange cannonball landed at his feet.
Look, Your Grace, it's solid gold.
Gold cannonballs!
Boy!
Here comes another one. Catch it.
Well, of course, when the soldiers tried to catch the golden cannonballs, they were mowed down in rows. And in a little while, Duke Porkington stood alone on the battlefield.
Are you going on with the battle?
No, Newton. Just picking up souvenirs.
So the King Newton and the goose lived happily ever after and whiled away the time playing games together.
I'll bet 5.
I'll just see that, Majesty, and raise you 10.
Well, things are certainly in a mess since the return of the legendary Maybe Dick. For Maybe Dick is a wailing whale with a taste for the liner things of life. But all is not lost, for our heroes, Rocky and Bullwinkle, are all at sea, angling for the monster with a telephone pole as a fishing rod. Above them, Captain Peter Wrongway Peachfuzz is keeping a sharp lookout.
Never saw such a fog in all my life.
Captain, that's the bulkhead you're staring at.
I thought something was amiss. It's the first fog I ever saw with rivets on it.
And the good captain began to scan the ocean for any sign of Maybe Dick. Meanwhile, our heroes were trolling tensely from the stern of the ship.
Don't worry, Bullwinkle. We're sure to get a bite.
That's what I'm worried about.
Huh?
What's a good remedy for whale bite?
You know, Bullwinkle, I got a funny feeling we're being watched.
By who?
Whom?
Whom is watching us?
That's what I want to know.
We're being watched by whom?
Yeah, by whom?
By me, too.
But then suddenly the sharp-eyed squirrel spotted an object some distance from the ship.
Hokey smoke, Bullwinkle, look there.
What is it, Rock?
It looks like a big shiny eye.
Well, I'll be jiggered. I've looked at the ocean lots of times, but this is the first time it ever looked back.
Rocky, Bullwinkle, there's a peeping Tom off the port bow.
We see it, Captain Peachfuzz.
What is it?
Just looks like a big eye floating by itself, way out in the middle of the ocean.
Maybe it's a private eye.
Perhaps it was Bullwinkle's bad joke, we'll never know, but the eye suddenly disappeared. And in its place, a strange-looking metal tube emerged from the sea and pointed at our friend.
Look out, Rocky! It may be loaded!
And loaded it was, for a huge jet of water shot out of the tube and swept our heroes off their feet.
Gee, this is terrible, Bullwinkle.
Yeah, I got nothing against bears, mind you, but it ain't Saturday yet.
Rocky, Bullwinkle, the boat is filling with water. We're foundering.
Floundering?
Foundering, Bullwinkle. He means all that water's sinking our boat.
Well, then there's only one thing to do.
What's that?
I wish I knew.
We gotta think of something in a hurry.
Yeah, or else take to the boats.
That's it, Bullwinkle. You got it.
Yeah, I know. What is it?
We'll take to the boat.
And desert a sinking ship? That's a ratty thing to do.
No, we'll row out in a lifeboat and try to turn that thing off.
Good idea, Rock. Come on.
But just as our heroes were about to launch the lifeboat, Rocky saw a strange sight in the wheelhouse.
Bullwinkle, look!
Yes, the wheelhouse had been filled with water, and Captain Peachfuzz was inside it, wig-wagging frantically.
You go ahead, Bullwinkle. I gotta save Captain Peachfuzz.
And Rocky dashed to the wheelhouse door and flung it open.
Now, what'd you go and do that for, Rocky?
The wheelhouse was full of water.
I know it.
Didn't you signal open the door?
Of course not. I signaled hand me the soap.
Meanwhile, Bullwinkle had rowed out to the source of all their trouble.
That is the biggest water pistol I ever did see. Now, where does it turn off?
But try as he might, Bullwinkle couldn't find a nozzle or a valve anywhere.
Guess I'll have to make my own.
And with a bulge of mighty moose muscle, Bullwinkle tied the metal tube in a knot.
Nice going, Bullwinkle.
But Bullwinkle's action had a strange result, for suddenly...
It's that blinking eye again. Well, this time you won't get off so easy, Mr. Peeker. Gotcha!
Be careful, Bullwinkle.
Don't worry, Rock. I'll hold on to him till you...
And a hapless Bullwinkle was dragged beneath the surface with only an ominous trail of bubbles to mark his passing. Don't miss our next watery episode, Underwater Moose or the Aqua Lunk.
And here, with his bird's eye view and a brain to match, is Mr. Know-It-All.
Our subject for today is how to be a beatnik. Some people think the beatnik is merely a bum with sunglasses, but he is more than that. Though not much. The first step in becoming a beatnik is to grow a beard. This can be a long process, particularly if you're a girl. Clothing-wise, we should remember this important rule. The well-dressed beatnik is seldom neatnik. Beatniks hang out in unemployment lines, health food stores, but most of all in coffee houses. Beatnik joints have lots of atmosphere, but it's usually too dark to see it.
Coffee, tea, or goat's milk?
Coffee, I guess.
Coffee we got. What kind?
Let's see. Espresso, 75 cents. Cappuccino, 85. Sanko, 50. Refill, 25. Think I'll have some of that there refill.
Why don't you try Cafe Minuto?
Cafe Minuto? What's that?
Instant coffee. Special for you, I make with dirty water. How is?
Terrible!
Good! Should taste bad to last drop.
The beatnik is often fond of reading poetry to jazz. Thusly, Mary had a swinging lamb. He followed her to school. She hocked his wool for a bongo drum, and man, that lamb was cool.
Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All.
And now for an encore.
any idea where Egyptians deposit their money, Sherman?
Sure, the banks of the Nile.
Oh, well, I guess they do. At any rate, that's where we're going today.
Where?
To the banks of the Nile.
To deposit money?
No, to meet Egypt's most famous and beautiful queen, Cleopatra. I instructed Sherman to set the Wayback Controls for the year 42 B.C. And the place, Cleopatra's royal palace. Unfortunately, when we arrived, we found the queen in the midst of having a shave.
Hokey smokes! I didn't know she had a beard.
She didn't. This was her evil brother, Prince Ptolemy.
Oh, boy, now that I'm the ruler of Egypt, I'm really going to liven things up around here.
Excuse us, your royal Ptolemy, sir, but where's Cleopatra?
Floating down the Nile on a raft, and in about 2 seconds, the crocodiles should have her.
You can be sure we hastened to the rescue.
There she is, Mr. Peabody. And look, there are crocodiles all around her.
Well, Nile crocodiles, as everyone knows, are frustrated actors. This gave us a plausible reason for putting on an impromptu performance of Uncle Tom's Cabin. I'll get you, little Eva. You won't get away from me.
Oh, no, you won't, you nasty Uncle Tom. I shall cross yonder ice floes and escape from you.
Well, the crocs, as I knew they would, pretended they were blocks of ice and gave a sterling performance. Sherman or little Eva dashed out across them with myself or Uncle Tom in warm pursuit. By the time we reached the far shore, we had not only picked up some new members for the Screen Actors Guild, but Cleopatra as well.
Thank you, little doggy, for rescuing me.
I am not a little doggy, Your Highness. I am Mr. Peabody.
And I'm Sherman.
How come you're not marching to the sea?
That was General Sherman, madam. This one is only a second lieutenant. Suddenly the air was filled with the blare of trumpets. Looking over a small hill, we saw the valley below was filled with a huge army.
Wow, whose army is that?
Caesar's.
Sid Caesar's?
Julius Caesar's.
Say, I'll bet he'd help Cleopatra get her throne back.
He would if he became infatuated. You think you could charm the great Caesar into assisting your cause, Cleopatra?
Are you kidding?
Cleopatra began her saturation campaign by entering Caesar's tent during his 2 o'clock feeding.
Osgratia artist, this is the vilest Caesar salad I've ever tasted. Who's got the salt?
Here it is, Julie, baby. You want some pepper, too?
At 4 o'clock, Caesar reviewed his troops.
You, soldier, you know better than to hold a dirty spear.
I am sorry, O Caesar, but I had nothing to clean it with.
Clean it with mint.
Spearmint?
Arrest that man! And you, soldier.
Hello, Julie, honey.
The crowning blow came when the great man dictated a letter that was to be sent back to Rome.
And I shall return during the Ides of March.
Is that all, sir?
That is all. Sign it yours sincerely, Julie, baby.
Julie, baby?
Oh, I must be going mad. Leave me. I seem to be haunted by the voice and face of a beguiling vixen. Perhaps I have a virus.
You look good to me, Julie Tiger.
Even the mirror looks like her.
By morning, Julius Caesar was on the verge of an unnervous breakdown, and that's when Cleopatra, escorted by 2 Egyptian guards, who resembled a boy and a dog, had it out with him.
You're devastatingly beautiful, you minx, you. Say you'll go steady with me.
She will if you'll attack Ptolemy and kick him off the throne.
Caesar, of course, would do anything, so that afternoon he and his vast legions lined up in front of Egypt's royal palace.
Spear throwers, attack!
1,000 deadly spears were launched in the direction of the palace wall, but Ptolemy was a clever man, for suddenly a huge screen popped up, a screen that had been coated with rubber. The spears merely hit the screen and returned from whence they came. Boulders were even catapulted, but they too bounced back.
If this keeps up, we'll be victorious losers.
Do something, Mr. Peabody.
And I did. First of all, I covered myself with bandages. To the enemy, I would appear to be a dog mummy, which was sacred to the Egyptians in those days, as everyone knows. Then I left the Roman lines and ran as best I could to the palace wall. A mighty leap, and I was over. 1 hour later, I returned to Sherman, Caesar, and Cleopatra. You may renew the assault, Julius.
But what good'll it do?
I insisted he follow my orders. A barrage of boulders was again sent flying at the walls, and again the rubber screen popped up, only this time there was a gaping hole in it, courtesy of yours truly. The rocks roared through the aperture, and inside of 10 minutes the walls came a-tumbling down, and Ptolemy with them. Cleopatra had her throne, and Caesar had Cleopatra. As for Sherman and me, we had ourselves a short sightseeing tour of the marketplace in Cairo.
Step right up, folks. Buy yourself a genuine Egyptian pharaoh barometer. Take a barometer home to the little woman.
Look at that, Mr. Peabody. That man is selling barometers shaped like pharaohs.
Yes, they not only sold slaves in Egypt, they sold barometers as well.
I never knew they could forecast the weather.
You never heard of Pharaoh and Warmer?
Well, the last we saw of Bullwinkle Moose may have been the last we saw of Bullwinkle Moose, for he had grabbed onto the mysterious ocean-going eye, determined to bring the intruder to bay. Instead, he was brought into the bay, and the only sign of him was an ominous stream of bubbles from underwater.
Hokey Smoke, break out the diving equipment, Captain. I'm going after him.
And in just a few moments, Rocky was fitted out with a diver's rig and ready to go over the side.
Captain, while I'm underwater, you keep going in circles.
That's the one thing I do best, Rocky.
Bye!
And the plucky squirrel plunged into the sea in the almost hopeless hope of finding his friend. Down and down Rocky sank until he was on the sandy bottom far beneath the sea.
Gee, it's sure gloomy down here. I better go back up and get a flashlight.
It was then that Rocky made a horrifying discovery. The diving gear was so heavy he couldn't get off the bottom. And yet, if he took it off, he'd drown before he got to the top.
Hokey Smoke, looks like Bullwinkle and I are here to stay.
Nevertheless, the soggy squirrel began to look for his friend.
Bullwinkle!
Meanwhile, many fathoms overhead, Captain Peter Peachfuzz radioed the news of our hero's plight all over the world.
Flash! Rocky Squirrel and Bullwinkle have been lost at sea.
Of course, everybody was shocked and dismayed at the tragic news. In England...
I say, Sir Digby, black tie with full dress.
It's for Rocky and Bullwinkle, old chap.
You mean?
Yes, I'm in evening mourning.
In France...
Messieurs, we face a cabinet crisis.
How comes this?
We want to drink a farewell toast to Rocky and Bullwinkle.
And?
We can't find the key to the cabinet.
In the United States...
Hope is dwindling tonight for Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Too bad.
Yes, America's sweethearts seem definitely on the missing list.
Tough.
And now tonight's sports final. The Giants lost again today.
No! No!
In Frostbite Falls, Rocky and Bullwinkle's hometown, even the railroad station was draped in black crepe.
Black crepe? Heck, that's soot.
Meanwhile, back on the ocean floor, Rocky was still searching for his pal. Little did he know that someone or something was really searching for him. Yes, as Rocky moved through the murky gloom, a dark shape slithered behind him, a huge single eye glaring balefully. Then suddenly, two huge claws shot out and grabbed our hero.
Whoa, help! Help!
Rocky's cries for help rose upward swiftly in the form of bubbles, and then as they struck the surface...
Help! Help! Help!
Well, it looks as if Captain Peachfuzz might be the only good guy left alive on our program.
Wouldn't that be something, though? I can see it now. Peter Peachfuzz and his friends. But I digress. I must save my friend Rocky.
And casting aside all fear as well as a chance for a show of his own, Captain Wrongway Peachfuzz went overboard to the rescue. But of course he had put his diving gear on the wrong way. As a result, when he turned on his air valve, the jet of compressed air blew him clear back on board ship again. He was very surprised.
Yes, I've fallen into the water lots of times, but this is the first time I ever fell out.
Undaunted, the brave captain adjusted his air tank and dived in once more, leaving the SS Athabasco traveling in circles, wider and wider circles, till finally the ship disappeared from sight entirely. So even if our heroes come up to the top, they're still sunk. Don't miss our next episode, Terror on the Seas, or We've Only Begun to Fright.